It's a beautiful contribution you're making to the world, Rich, and thank you very much. It's also, as Rich was saying, we've known each other for about 10 years now, and I feel like this is a community where I really belong for the first time, so that means a lot to me. So it's really, really nice to be here. So thank you. So this morning, you know, we're going to talk about, does knowing about the brain help us become wiser, which is the assignment Rich gave to me. And so we're going to talk a little bit about wisdom, but, you know, wisdom happens beneath and before words. So I was feeling, getting ready to come here, that there ought to be something we ought to do together that isn't just one person sharing words with another, which can be great, but actually something that went more into primary experience, more something that we could carry with us outside of this room and really perhaps even deeply be an invitation for transformation if that happens like that. So I was feeling that, and then yesterday morning when Mary Pfeiffer spoke, wasn't it an amazing talk? There's Mary. You know, I was feeling that to do an effective approach to Mary's invitation, which is to move psychotherapy out of the psychotherapy suite and actually try to really, in an urgent kind of way, participate in helping the planet. We need to bring our skills of resilience inside of ourselves first, and then share that with other people, so that the really painful place that we're at now in human evolution is that we've grown so large and we've become so consumeristic that the planet is in grave danger. And so if you're thinking that you're a psychotherapist, and we'll talk about the psyche in a moment, but that you really want to help bring healing into the world, then it really means that we have to go and become a part of the healing of the whole world, not just the individual in front of us, which is very important. But to do that, we need the strength not to go into denial, not to go into despair, not to go into depression. And so, even though I know the time is short this morning, I'm going to devote a good amount of this morning to an experiential exercise, which I think if we do it together as a community, I think it has a bigger chance of going out in the world and making a positive impact on ourselves individually and ourselves collectively, and if we're fortunate, maybe even having a ripple effect out into the larger society. So we're going to do a practice. So we'll get ready. So if you say, well, oh my God, Dan's talking, so we want to hear about the brain and all that stuff, Rich showed you the books you can read. And I can just tell you that the journey I've been on for 10 years has been kind of amazing, joining with Rich and with all of you at the Psychotherapy Networker community. This has been a 10 years I never, ever would have predicted. I mean, you know, when I started getting into this, it was because I felt like a fraud when I started practicing psychotherapy. I got my board certification and everything, and no one ever said what the psyche was. And I was supposed to be a therapist of it. And you probably know the definition of the psyche is the soul, the spirit, the intellect, and the mind. We are therapists of the mind. And yet we have this peculiar thing where in all the fields that study the mind, psychology, psychiatry, philosophy of mind, education of the mind, even fields that deal with mental issues like anthropology or sociology, there is absolutely no definition of the mind. It's amazing. And yet here you have the Psychotherapy Networker, the therapy of the mind networker. So one thing I want to say in terms of wisdom is that this journey for me of trying to understand the brain was really a journey to try to find the mind. And I didn't know when I began this journey that there'd be no discipline that had a definition of it. So we're going to go deeply into some very profound questions about what the mind is. And when we get there, which we're going to do in this brief hour-long keynote I have, or less than an hour, oh my God. This is going to be an interesting timing issue. Because here's what I feel. I feel like we all have a mind. And you're going to experience it right now in this exercise we're going to do. And just because I don't want you to worry, and I know I'm going to forget this, I'm going to give you a teeny bit of scientific background, not so that you can be taking notes about it and everything, but so you, in the part of your mind that wants to make sure you hear a lot of science and not just experience something, you're not like freaking out, like, oh boy, Rich really screwed up this time. So I'm just going to give you a background, because I never do this, and my wife always says, you are like the worst promoter of yourself, and I go, I know. So I wore these cargo pants to show you the pocket guide fits into a pocket. This is my promotion. And next year, we're going to have Psychotherapy Networker written on the butt of your cargo pants. That'll be really in, right? So there it is. So that's my promotion thing. But here's the thing. If you want to know the science, first of all, you can join us online. We have a whole MindSight community where we deal with these issues. If you want to do the exercise we're about to do, and you want to take notes, you don't need to take notes. You can go to my website, drdansiegel.com, and you can download it for free. Just come join us and download the thing. So you don't have to be taking notes. I want you to experience what we're about to experience. If your mind says, where's all the data on the brain? This book is a nonlinear book that lets you dive into all the stuff we're going to talk about in some very deep and profound ways.